have just finished our third edition of the Australian Leaders Program, organized by the Spain-Australia Council Foundation. In this edition, we have invited 4 representatives from different Australian think tanks who have been invited to know a little more about Spain. In previous editions, we invited representatives from the Parliament and from the press. And in this occasion, I have said, we have invited representatives from think tanks. The goal of this program is to offer an updated image of Spain through contacts with representatives from the administration and with the civil society. We try to approach qualified professionals from Australia to the reality of Spain. We have been in Madrid and we have been in Galicia, and we have visited facilities of different enterprises. We have been in Santiago de Compostela, knowing more about the way of Santiago, and in Madrid we have visited other facilities from different enterprises. In Madrid we held a roundtable or a seminar on different aspects which were of interest which are of high interest in Spain and in Australia. To sum up, I think that we have reached the goals established for this program, and we have managed to offer them an updated version of an image of Spain, of modern Spain as a competitive country.
Had a great week in Spain so far, and really happy to be here. This is my first time in Spain, so a big thank you to the Foundation for allowing me this opportunity to visit Spain and see some really interesting and different aspects of the country. Really enjoyed the visit, particularly to Inditex and Navantia, to see some different aspects of Spanish industry, and it's really amazing to see how much effort and technology goes into something like Inditex. Zara is obviously a brand that's well known in Australia, but seeing how that works coming from Spain, being exported all over the world, is really amazing. We've also had some great engagements with Spanish researchers and think tank members and the government as well, which has been fantastic to get some different perspectives on some of the issues and see some of the different issues that we're thinking about. In particular, that we have very different focus and probably perception of things like Brexit, Trump, Russia and China.
When I started this program, at the opening remarks, it was pointed out that Australia and Spain are very far apart and that we don't know each other very well, and I think that's very true. But what this program has shown me is just how much we have in common, whether it's challenges in terms of defending our values and our interests as a Western country, but also the potential for opportunities in business, in manufacturing, and also at the level of diplomacy in terms of outreach into the Asia Pacific region, where once again I would stress that I've discovered how much Spain and Australia have in common. And until I joined this program, I would not have known that Zara was part of a bigger conglomerate and that it has half a dozen brands. I didn't know that Navantia was supplying Australia with warships, and that in fact most of the Australian Navy is supplied by a Spanish company, and I think that would come as news to many Australians. So I feel like I've come to Spain as part of this program having really had a superficial understanding and feeling of Spain, and have come away with a much broader picture of a country that has come out of the gates after the global financial crisis with a concerted push to connect with the world.
The program was a great program, and I must admit, sort of coming across, looking at the schedule, I thought, visit to Navantia, right, that's right down my alley, that's great, be very interested to see, particularly given the involvement that the company has in shipbuilding in Australia these days. But then I saw, I'm visiting a fashion company, that might be a bit boring, but that proved to be one of the more fascinating parts of the trip, actually, that the scale of Inditex's operations, the thought that goes into it, just the fact that there is nothing in their business model which seems to be left to chance or to random happenings. And just the sheer scale of it was amazing. And I think that's been one of the eye-openers of this trip, that Spain being still a relatively small country, has such a significant industrial base, and particularly in recent times where Australia's industrial base has really declined. It's quite an eye-opener for me that a relatively small country can still maintain a strong industrial capacity and compete on the international market. But it's just been good to see the diversity of modern Spain, to speak frankly with government officials, to discuss the issues of foreign policy and security affairs which affect us both. But I think also as an Australian coming to Spain, one of the things that I've enjoyed most about the program actually is the willingness of the people at this end who have been here to listen and learn from me. So Spain seems to be interested in having a greater presence in Asia and the Pacific, and I found it quite humbling, but also quite fulfilling to be able to share my experiences and my knowledge as an Australian academic about the security situation, the strategic situation in the Asia Pacific, as it affects Australia, as it affects the broader region, and also how it may affect Spain.
So we've just finished 1 week travelling around Spain, getting to know the country. We've had meetings with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Economy. We've seen some of the really globally focused Spanish companies like Inditex and Navantia up in Galicia. And then today we spent some time with some Spanish think tanks and had a small dialogue with some of the Spanish foreign policy thinkers about the evolving world in which our two countries find ourselves. I've had a fantastic time on this trip so far. I've really enjoyed it, and it's been a great update into the real Spanish experience and the way that Spain is making its way in the world today.